Shalom Akim, Yahweh Shem Yahushua Bashim Rakakadash, Shabbanos and salutations to the elders and apostles of Great Mr. Well. This is Brother Nash DC Camp, another beta lesson to edify the hopeful elect. Because the Lord Yahweh has so much information out there regarding prophecy that our people need to be aware of. So this is something that the Southern Kingdom, the Kingdom of Judah, has to be dealing with, on a yearly basis over there in Africa, even here in the so-called Western Hemisphere, because our people are in debt. They're still under the authority and the dominion of this Edomite, Esau, all right, that the Bible speaks of, right? The so-called white people. So you just have to understand, man. Esau's agenda to hold Israel down is terrible. And then, you read the book of Daniel, talks about, the three horns, the three heads, the three beasts that were dominated by the fourth beast, So you just let you know, man, that the so-called British, so-called French, and the so-called Spanish, they're like the core, the main core of the beast. The book of Revelation, as you can see upon the face of the earth. All right, you could tell how they carved, the Western Hemisphere out, even Africa. All right, so it's beautiful to have access to this information, while the internet is still up and running, because you have an idea of what calamity of our people, what our people got to deal with. So I won't babble, too long, so I'll just play this video real quick, and I get the precepts to match along with it.
Welcome to Candid Africa, truthful and unapologetic.
When the colonizers were leaving the continent between 1958 and 1961, France did something that was just downright terrible. Made the African leaders sign what they call the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. France made the Francophone countries sign the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. Allow me to highlight a few of the items in the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization, and I urge all of you to Google it and read it. And if that does not disgust you, I don't know what will.
Yeah, so I read it, man. That stuff is draconian. It's something you see in the book of Maccabees, Yeah, so that's how fucked up our people is, our nation, man, because this is what happens when the Lord Yahweh Shai sends a nation of oppressors against us. You have to deal with the bitterness, all right, of being in captivity, the bitterness of oppression, all right. So you can't just turn a blind eye to the calamities of our people, because it's what the Lord Yahweh Shai brought upon us, because we disobeyed His commandments, and it's only the Lord Yahweh Shai, all right, only the Lord Yahweh Shai can get us out of it. So you better you just understand the reason why you have so much instability in Africa, all right, especially where Jake is. It's because of Esau, all right. Esau wants to maintain control, even here in the so-called Western Hemisphere, in South America, North America, all right, the Caribbean. Yeah, whenever there's instability, Esau's always the one behind it, because he wants to keep our people divided, all right? Esau wants to hold on to that blessing so bad that he's willing to disturb the balance, the foundations of the earth.
First, the French said, well, you see, we...
Yes, like y'all can go to demons. Yeah. So that's it there, man. It's always Satan, always want to interrupt. But that's how it is being in captivity. So you got to know how to operate, man. Because at the end of the day, you just got to give all praises to the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai. So I put this video and just follow along.
Built a few schools, a few roads, a few hospitals, taught you about the fork and knife and sitting on a table and eating with utensils. We're going to call that the colonial debt. And for that you shall pay to perpetuity. In addition, you will deposit 85% of your bank reserves with the Minister of Finance. the French Minister of Finance. Collectively, the Minister of Finance, the French Minister of Finance will take all your deposits. It was 85% back then. It's now down to about 60. The French minister will invest that money in the French stock exchange under the French name. You may or may not know the returns. Today, France is taking out of Africa, Francophone Africa, over $500 billion. Over $500 billion. We, the Africans, the poor countries, we're giving France over $500 billion.
And when she's saying Africans, she's talking about Jake in West Africa and Central Africa. All right, so you just have to understand, man. It's messed up, but at the same time, you also need to understand. You also got Ishmael in the mix too. All right, so just understand that Esau is terrible. You know, when Job 9:24 talks about the earth is given to the hands of the wicked. So this is just an image, you know, the image of the beast that's been projected upon the southern kingdom. All right. So I'll hurry up and get to this precepts real quick. All right. So this is the book of Baruch chapter 3 verse 28. All right. It's all about the basics when it comes to the scriptures. All right. It's like Baruch chapter 3 verse 8. All right. So it says, behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us. All right, the Lord Yahweh Shemashai scattered us upon the face, you know, the four corners of the earth. All right, so that's why you have so many Israelites dwelling in West Africa. All right, for a reproach and a curse. That's why people are marked. You know, they like to use us as piñatas, you know, when it comes to their entertainment, you know, to take out their stress and frustration, and to be subject to payments. All right, so we gotta you gotta pay, you know, you gotta pay to live, you know, in Babylon, man. You gotta pay to survive, you gotta pay to be oppressed. All right, according to all the iniquities of our fathers which departed from the Lord our power. So that's a conclusion right there of what our people had to endure, man, our shortcomings. Okay, and then I'll go back, you know, play the video some more.
$1 billion a year in, year out. And no one is talking about it. The latest figures are saying for every $14 billion that France takes out of Africa, by the time they finish investing it, they're realizing upwards of $300 billion for every $14 billion. So in actuality...
Yep, so that lets you know, man, these Edomites that you see from French, you know, from France, always talking that, oh, we, you know, what you want to do with your time, all that stuff, you know, yes, they're nobody, but at the same time, the Lord Yahweh Shemashah put them in that seat of authority. They're just living off the backs of Jake, you know, of Israel. All right, so you know how it is, man. America is going to back them up, and the British is also going to back them up, because they understand they need to maintain a grip on power. But that grip now is slipping away, because there's oppressed of the people upon the face of the earth. All right, and these so-called African leaders are going to start rebelling. So you're going to see more instability in Africa. You're going to hear about more violence. All right, because so-called African leaders back then, you know, that wanted to fight for independence and be independent of the French, you know, dominion, the French hemisphere of rulership. You know, they had to be taken out. You had dumbass Jakes in the military, you know, following instructions from Esau, the so-called white man, you know, to smoke, to smoke people, you know, to murder people, to start the coup, to overthrow, you know, all these so-called leaders that wanted to be independent, you know, wanted to have their people free, but it is what it is, you know. It wasn't time, you know. It's Yahweh Shai's, you know, job. It's Yahweh Shai's responsibility. It's his what do you call it? That's his main objective, to you know, to deliver the whole nation. When you read Luke, the first chapter, for us to be delivered from our enemies. That's exactly what it's talking about.
France is taking out of Africa trillions of dollars year in, year out. Should any of those countries wish to access some of their own money that they deposited with France, they have to submit their own financial reports for the country. And if approved, they can only access up to 20% of that money as a loan at commercial interest rates. Figure that one out. That is our reality. It gets better. They were also told that if you need any military equipment, you can only purchase it from France. Your military can only be trained by France. That France will have military presence in your own country and can invade you without notice should they feel French interests are being violated.
Yep. So whenever the beasts feel as if the steak and potatoes is about to slip out of the plate, you gotta get back into action. That's exactly what Esau's all about, man. You can't afford to lose the revenue that is coming from our people, because wherever our people dwell, you can always tell there's always a blessing of natural resources there, and that's why there's so much instability, man. Esau can't leave, without disturbing Jake. He thrives on the demise of our people. That's why the jail cells here in the United States is filled with so many Jakes. But even in England, even in France, all right. So it's just messed up. So I get another precept here. It's going to be from the book of Proverbs, chapter 12, and verse 24. All right. So it says, "The hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute." And that's exactly what happened when the righteous of our people wanted to serve the Lord. They were mocked. They were, 2/3 was given the men of the Lord, the prophets of the Lord, even 1/3 a hard time. And the whole nation fell into disarray because of wickedness, man. Because 2/3 is slothful when it comes to worshiping of the Lord Yahweh Shema in spirit and in truth. And that's why our nation is under tribute, because of wickedness, because of the lack of brotherly love, because of the lack of faith in the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai. All right. And that's why the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai always told our people, to worship him with all our hearts, with all our soul, and with all our might. Anything less than that is being slothful. And that's the price of pain, okay? And then Yahweh Shai also understood the situation we were in, okay? And that's one thing you have to be aware of, man, because Yahweh Shai had that spirit of humility, all right, that we need to pick up on. So this is Matthew chapter 17, verse 25. Actually, stuff of verse 24, okay? And when they were come to Capernaum, all right, one of the opulent cities of the nation of Israel, all right, in the kingdom of Judah, they that received tribute money came to Peter and said, "Doth not your master pay tribute?" He said, "Yes." And when he was come into the house, Yahweh Shai prevented him, saying, "What thinkest thou, Simon?" All right, "What thinkest thou, Shemaiah? Of whom do the kings of the earth, all right, the heathen, take custom or tribute? Of their own children or of strangers?" Peter said unto him, "Of strangers." Yahweh Shai said unto him, "Then are the children free." All right, so Yahweh Shai knew that the kingdom back then was not our kingdom, was not the kingdom of Israel, was not his kingdom. All right, it was the kingdom of the heathen, and our people had to be paying tribute. Okay, and that's one thing people don't understand. You can't beat this system, with the legal, maneuvers in the courts. You can't, man, because at the end of the day, you're just fooling yourself. All right, the only way out is through the Lord Yahushai. Okay. Then verse 27 says, notwithstanding, lest we should offend them, go down to the sea and cast an hook and take up the fish that first cometh up. And when thou hast opened his mouth, thou shalt find a piece of money, that take and give unto them for me and thee. So Yahushua was smart. He knew exactly what he was dealing with. All right, because he wasn't, seeking to go head to head with the oppressor back then. His job was mainly to preach the gospel, to avoid as much contact, with the so-called Romans. But for prophecy's sake, he had to be killed. He had to be murdered. All right? And that's the beautiful thing about the Holy Scriptures. When you look at the characteristics of Yahushua, he knew exactly, all that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding he had, he still had to humble himself. All right? He knew the damage he could do, but he exercised a lot of restraint. And that's one thing our people need to understand in this day and age, man. No matter how hard you try, you can't really fight your way from underneath Esau. All you can do is just preach the gospel. You can't really take up any arms against him. All you could do is just preach the gospel like Yahushua did. All right, you can't be a zealot either. All right, picking up arms, trying to claim this and claim that, because the Lord Yahushua is the one that will take Esau out of the way. So I'll play the video some more and get one final precept.
Are being violated. Language of instruction shall be French. All your minerals discovered, yet to be discovered, France has the first right of refusal. All the contracts, big contracts, private and public, French companies have the first right of refusal.
Meaning that you have to check with them first. You have to check in. Just like the gangsters used to say, you got to check in. Let me see what you got. If I don't like it, all right, offer it to somebody else. That's basically what she's saying. That you got to check with me first. If you got anything that just discovered minerals, offers, or as per contracts, you got to follow up with me first. You got to ask me for advice. If I say no, then proceed to the next. To the next stage, put it out there on the market, to get first dibs. That's basically what she's saying.
Now, my brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, if you were to go home and run for president, and your first day in office, your chief of staff comes to you and say, oh, by the way, Mr. President, Madam President, before you start, I must read you the do's and don'ts as stipulated by the pact for the continuation of colonization.
And that's why you have so many Jakes. They don't want to stay in Africa. They want to go elsewhere because they're tired of being oppressed. And the funny thing is also here in America, man, these so-called congressmen and congresswomen, senators, IRS, the Social Security Administration, they don't really tell you what the hell is going on behind the scenes, man. The president can't really tell you what the hell is going on with the United States, because it's also present here in the United States, man, because America is not really ruled by those that you see, in Congress. They're just a bunch of errand boys and errand girls, just like Uber drivers, Uber Eats drivers. That's all they are. They're just a bunch of cashiers, and enforcers to make sure that people follow along. All right, so it's much more terrible here in the United States, man. They don't really want to talk about it that much. They like to pretend that they have this lavish lifestyle, they have influence and access, but it's all smoke and mirrors. They're all puppets, just like the so-called presidents in Africa.
And your chief of staff reads this to you. What power do you have? This is precisely what our colonizers wanted.
And that's one thing. That's why you have so-called agents in the FBI. They can't really get certain investigations done because you got too many roadblocks, put in place by the owners of America. So I get one final precept. It's going to be from the book of Song of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse 6. And it says, "Look not upon me because I am black, because the sun had looked upon me, my mother's children," all right? The Edomites, okay? All right, the Edomites were angry with me, all right? So this is Israel talking about the Edomites, man. Yeah, they're making it difficult for us. Okay, they made me the keeper of vineyards. All right, we're in captivity to these Edomites, but my own vineyard have I not kept. All right, so that lets you know, man, it's sad that we're in this state. But at the end of the day, you just gotta praise the Lord, Yahweh Shai, that we are beginning to wake up out of it. Okay, and you have to understand that you can't fight your way out of captivity. You can't free yourself. It's only the Lord Yahweh Shai that can free you, all right? Because He's the one that has the keys, to bring you out of captivity, all right? And so the last couple of sound bites from this video.
It's precisely what our colonizers wanted, to leave us in a position that no matter how hard we try, trying to get a leg up is mission impossible.
And that's why, you read the curses talks about, the the boundary, the above our head brass, shackles and all that stuff in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28. We've been in captivities in shackles. So, she's an Israelite, but at the end of the day, man, she got a letter, stating that she's been terminated from her position. So by November 1st, she's no longer the African Union ambassador to the United States. All right, so you know how Jakes are over there, man. They got so much dirt, they got so much corruption. They had to, draft a letter of termination for her. So if you dig in deep, you see that our people are corrupt. They're scared. They're scared of man. They don't have any faith in Lord Yahweh Hashem Shai. So I just say, Ka Hala Yahweh Hashem Yahushai Hashem Kwakadash, double honors and salutations to the elders and apostles of Great Stone Rule Well, and the Akema Delta Highways and Byways. Remember, Jake is going to go through a lot of hell, just like what is going on in Haiti, what's going on in Ecuador, Chile, Mexico. It's always these Edomites bringing instability to our people, because our people in a vulnerable state. So you got to pray the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai delivers you in this hour of temptation coming up. So just imagine how messed up it's going to be when you have the mark of the beast being instituted. So just pray that, your flight's not going to be in winter. Pray the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai continue to strengthen your faith. So that's the point there, Akim. Hope you be edified. Shalom.